A good product solves a problem. If you're not solving a problem, why develop a solution for it in the first place? There's no problem to solve.
We interviewed product people across company and industry to find out how they think and how they work. In this series, we share that knowledge with the wider product world. This is Product on Product.
Most PMs will say that there is no conventional path to becoming a product manager. Me personally, I came from finance, a finance background. I didn't originally go to App Annie as a product manager. I was more on the strategy side of things. Eventually, was providing a lot more sort of product strategy guidance and tasks, so that eventually, once there was room and space for another headcount on the product team, I eventually transitioned to that role, and that's where I am today. It's definitely a learning curve, especially on the engineering side. Obviously, I think credibility goes a long way towards influence, and not really having an understanding of, how do we define this data model, so on and so forth, was a steep learning curve to navigate. But I think for me in my position, being at the organization that I was at for 2 years prior to moving to product management, I had a deep product understanding to begin with, and a deep understanding of user frictions and user issues or what they were trying to solve. So luckily for me in that context, it bought me a little bit of credibility and time to really true up my internal knowledge of how from an engineering standpoint, our products were developed. But I would say for anybody else out there that either you may come from an engineering background but not have the business experience, or vice versa, I think it's just a matter of time and just be a sponge about it and just learn as much as you can, and be transparent to your stakeholders, and don't be afraid to lean on them. I think and many times I'll talk to the data scientists I work with and say, can you explain this to me? Because ultimately, I will, as a product manager, do have to explain these concepts to our customers that I speak with or try to evangelize our product with. So I need to own a grasp of it. So to the extent that I can lean on those team members to help me out, benefits us all in the long run, really. I think in terms of assessing a product's value or anticipated value overall, we typically look at it across a couple major lenses. One is obviously the commercial viability. Will people pay for whatever you're building? The second piece is the feasibility aspect of it, but just an overall assessment and understanding of, can we build this? Can we scale this? And then the third piece, which is more on the design side, is that usability aspect of it. Does it look good? Does it feel good? Not only does it technically solve the problem, but can it be done in a manner that is intuitive to the end user? For every product decision, there is a hypothesis driving it, and in many cases, those hypotheses are formulated by a certain impact on one or more of those KPIs. And then the secondary hypothesis to that would then be a little bit more granular, and therefore users of those personas, if we launch this, would experience greater retention or greater utilization, and so on and so forth. And then from there, we start running some small tests and user interviews to either validate or invalidate it. And then if everything starts looking up, then we'll start building an iterative solution towards that. I think first and foremost, from a internal buy-in standpoint across cross-functional stakeholders, is that transparency of why we are doing this in the first place. It's often said for product managers, we have all the responsibility with none of the influence, right? I don't manage the engineers that I work with. I don't manage the designers that I work with, and so on and so forth. And so in this regard, having everybody on the same page and understanding what we are trying to do and what success looks like in a measurable manner really does a lot of in terms of alignment. So that actually, in doing so internally, actually saves me a lot of time and effort from really getting people aligned all the time. Rather, everybody can just point to, hey, this is what exactly what we're trying to do here overall. I don't think that exists, honestly. I think even if you deliver something of extreme value, there will always be improvements or bugs that should be ironed out. Then, even if you did deliver something huge in terms of value, then you move on. Then you move on to the next thing, and you try to find the next one and the next one. I think a good product accounts for not just the problem right now, but potential problems in the future as well. That will cover corner cases or things like that, where that extra, like that last 10% tail that a user might run into. And then the usability aspect is also huge. I think at the end of the day, humans are consuming these products, and humans, they consume aesthetically pleasing things. Like there's a reason why the iPhone looks like the iPhone. And taking all those collectively together really makes for a lasting, strong product, I think. I think ownership is a really big one. I think recognizing as a PM that every issue, every good or bad, stemming from the product that you are trying to develop rests on the shoulders of the product manager. And therefore it becomes the product manager's problem to try to solve and fix. I think having a deep empathy for the end user is really key as well. Really focusing on the end user and what problems they're facing. And then third is influence. As a product manager, you're working incredibly cross-functionally. You don't have direct influence. You don't manage your cross-functional stakeholders. And so the onus is on you to understand your teammates, your cross-functional stakeholders, what motivates them, what drives them, and how to get them on the same page as you to really develop something for the greater end goal of the user. I think people may want to become a product manager for the same reason I became an investment banker. And that is prestige, recognition, and it is one of the it jobs to be in San Francisco and Silicon Valley and tech. However, being a product manager, like investment banking, is a grind. Being a PM and feeling the weight of the success or failures of what you're developing and what you're devoting many cross-functional resources for is what weighs most heavily on me personally as a product manager, and I think many of my product management peers. And therefore, I would say, think about really, if you're considering a career in product management, just take that into consideration.
There's no question about why companies need a product manager in order to grow their products. Now, the next question is, how do we set up those product managers for success so they can better build products for the users?